This 70-year-old woman has decided to get a divorce. She's determined to leave the man who has tormented her for 50 years. Ella comes to her daughter's house to do chores, just like any other day, but instead, she gets criticized by both of her daughters. Once she leaves her husband and gains her freedom, she can spend money however she wants, she can eat whatever she pleases, she can live with her friends. One day, a female employer asks the elderly woman to help move some things, but because they're too heavy, she accidentally falls to the ground and gets fired on the spot. On the bus, the old woman naturally demands that a young girl give up her seat. Everyone on the bus looks at her with disdain, until she notices the girl's sleeve is empty. Back home, she pulls out old photos from the past. She decides to go back to her hometown. This is where she and her husband got married. It's also where they built their first home together. When she arrives, memories of the old days come flooding back. They were once a loving young couple. Perhaps the promises she made back then were sincere. But somewhere along the way, things changed. She became someone she no longer recognized. The old woman sits under the eaves of the house, looking at the dilapidated old home. She stays there for a long time without leaving, then she falls asleep. She dreams of the day that broke her wife's heart. Her pregnant wife, carrying a heavy load of things, comes to find him, hoping he would take her to the hospital for a checkup, but all she receives in return is senseless anger and abuse. He also remembers when his wife first married into the family, how his mother beat her, and how he chose to look the other way. He recalls all the insults he hurled at his wife over the years, and how she silently endured it all. Finally, he stops at a railroad crossing, in the darkness. He sees his younger self with his wife. He sees his aged self standing alone. He also sees his young wife walking toward him, her eyes filled with tears. Then she turns and walks away. The next day, the old man looks at the list of 10 rules of a good husband posted on the refrigerator. Then he begins trying to cook for himself, but since he doesn't even know how to use a rice cooker, he has no choice but to call his wife for help. He goes to the bank and withdraws his savings. He takes back the 4 properties he had given to his younger brother. He prepares everything for a trip, but 50 years of continuous hurt and betrayal, how could that simply be put aside because of these gestures? He makes fish soup again, and shamelessly begins to seek his wife's forgiveness.